Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the August 14th regular meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. Any citizen who is interested in participating in the public session portion of the meeting can actually do so remotely by calling 336-422-1200, and you will be placed on hold until the public session begins. And any member of the audience who is here that wishes to speak just needs to fill out a little speaker card and give it to our clerk, and their cards. I see someone right there with an orange card in their hand and can give it to the clerk anytime before we get to the public speaking part, public session part. We're going to begin our meeting with an invocation from Pastor Robert Hutchins, and I'll invite him forward. And he's with Faith and Family Baptist Church, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner McDaniel. Please stand if you are able.
And I will mention to the board, I've been coming many years. I think I've only stayed for one meeting. I'm always busy. I got a 2:30 appointment. I wish I could stay. Let's pray. Father, as Ashley Matthews just mentioned to me just a few minutes ago, that we need prayer so badly. And Lord, like Solomon of old, Lord, he looked to you. He came to you for wisdom. And Lord, we read about in the Old Testament so many people that went through trials and difficulties. They came to you, Lord. They didn't look within themselves because, Lord, the wisdom is not within us. It's from you. And Lord, you're not only our Creator God, but you're our Savior. And I'm thankful. In your wisdom, you sent the Lord Jesus Christ to the cross of Calvary to atone for our sins. I'm thankful he rose from the dead, and he's alive right now, doing well, and he's interceding for us. Lord, I try to keep up with the county news all that I can. And I know this has been a stressful time for our Board of Commissioners. Lord, school just started back yesterday, and Lord, it's just something we're faced with. We have to figure out what to do about this gigantic shortfall. And much of the decisions comes back to this board. And I've listened to and been interviewed on the news, and I believe everyone sincerely wants to do what's right to everybody in this county. So God, I just pray for them to have the wisdom that they need. But dear God, I just met with a family whose loved one is early stages of dementia. They're looking at putting them in a home. And stress, there's people today finding out they have cancer. There's people getting calls of someone in a car wreck or some type of accident. They're rushing to the hospital, not knowing if their loved one's going to make it. Lord, while we deal with a lot of stress in here, we want to remember there's a lot of people outside of this room dealing with much more serious stress than what's going on in here. We got a sheriff that needs you, Lord, our police department, Lord, our paramedics, our firefighters, Lord. We all need you. But Lord, I'm thankful that this government in Forsyth County has made a decision many years ago before these meetings start to look to you. And we do. God, would you give wisdom in this day to this board? In the name of Jesus, we ask this. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Hutchins. First item on the agenda is a resolution designating an official to make recommendations to the North Carolina Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission on ABC permit applications. We actually had a briefing on that on Monday, fairly straightforward with some flexibility. Do we need any more discussion? Are we ready for a motion?
Move approval.
Have a motion from Vice Chair Wisenhunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the meeting of July 24th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any calls or cards for the public session?
Mr. Chairman, we have 8 or 9 speaker cards.
All right.
The first speaker is Chris McCann. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Now, I'd just like to remind you, we've got about 3 minutes, and I will actually have a timer, and I'll keep track of it, and I'll let you finish your sentence when we get to it. All right.
My name's Chris McCann. I live at 205 Cool Springs Road, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27107. I'm a lifelong member of Forsyth County. I'm here today to speak to y'all about the school board issue. I'm really ashamed today to be standing here and say that I live in Forsyth County, because this has brought great shame to us, the situation that we find ourselves in. I don't know who's at fault here. I don't know. I've not got all of the information. I understand that there's a 39-page report that was released just prior to this meeting today. And I've not had the opportunity to read that report. But the one thing I do know is that our state allocates about 40% of their budget to education in the state K through 12. That's a great chunk of the budget that goes for that. This problem far outreaches our county boundaries. It's going to touch everybody in the state, because this is a state problem, not a county problem. It's time that we make people and hold people accountable for the responsibilities that they take when they take an elected office. Sometimes it's not a pleasant thing to do, but it's necessary in this. If we bail these people out today, they'll be back asking you for a bailout again in the future. Mr. Bessie, I understand you have a characteristic of being able to squeeze a penny till it squeals. And I certainly hope that we have everyone up there today that will do that. But what I'm asking is that we don't allocate any additional funds to the school system. They've already demonstrated the inability to manage the money that they had, and it was given to them to spend for the best and for the people of this county and for the education of the children in this county. Please keep that in mind when you're taking a vote on this today. Thank you for allowing me to come up and talk.
Thank you.
Joanna Kelly, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Joanna Kelly with 2800 Regency Drive, Winston-Salem, 27106. And I've never spoken to you guys before, so I'm a little nervous. But, and I feel a little weird because I know that what a lot of people are here for is very serious. And it is very serious, and I've been following it as well. But that's not what I'm here for. I am here to talk about some good news, to bring some good news and some joy for a community dance. I think we can hold both of those. You know, we can hold the joy and we can hold the seriousness of the topic. So I am doing this because this is the time, unfortunately, it is the same time. It's in September. It's September 21st. And I'm just going to read what I wrote here. So with all the challenges we are facing these days, I wanted to bring some good news, something fun, to invite you and our community to a day disco, a dance party on Sunday, September 21st from 4 to 7 at the Millennium Center in Winston-Salem. This is sparked by what brings me joy, dancing, service, and community. It's an afternoon of music, dancing, and connecting with others while raising funds for 3 amazing local nonprofits. I work with Into the Wild, which is an adventure recovery program for women suffering from, who are recovering from substance use disorder. I also work with Triad Restorative Justice and A Bed and a Book, who gives beds and books to children in the Triad. I'm a grant writer and nonprofit consultant. So that's what I do, but I also enjoy dancing, and I feel like sometimes that's what I need to do. It's a politics-free zone where people can come together, dance, have fun, and support organizations doing important work in our county. Please help spread the word. Bring your friends, neighbors, and dancing shoes. And I have a poster. Can I give each of you a poster? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it includes boomers also.
Yes, actually, I do want to say, one second. It is geared towards the 40-plus crowd, because I'm 40-plus. And actually, my master's was at adult learning and development, and I think we don't stop growing at 40. And so let's see what we can do for the 40 to 80-year-olds. And it's during the day so that we don't have to wait till midnight to go out.
All right, that's good.
It's pretty.
Fleming Elamine, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Fleming Elamine, 5400 Novak Street. Honorable Commissioners and Manager Robinson, I'm here for one reason. I had two students when I was teaching at Glenn High School that still venerate in my mind. One was in a wheelchair. He could only use one finger. He never missed an assignment. First one in class. In fact, he got an A in my class. The other student was in the so-called, we had an alphabet for his classroom. I won't tell you what the alphabet said, but this young man is now a minister in Forsyth County, and he was labeled. So I want us to really think seriously about what happens to children through no fault of their own, are born with physical challenges or mental challenges. Let's protect them, make a safe environment for them, and do the best we can to educate them to the best of their abilities. Thank you very much.
Donald Dunn, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Donald Dunn. Our address is 8580 Brook Meadow Court, Louisville, North Carolina. I'm in total support of our school system, but when you are ally and friends of someone, sometimes things don't go right. And I'll be the first, and not shocking among everybody in this group, that things are not going right. However, we are going to lose one of our largest employers by the end of the year, and that would just compound our tax base even more by having that missing out the piece. But our school system does need help, and I'm just here to support them and saying that I've been fortunate, even though school just started yesterday, I've been to 5 schools already, and the atmosphere is not what it is customarily been. And if we step back or not support our schools and our scholars and our educators and our custodian staff and the cafeteria people, it will be a long year. So we still have 179 days to go before the school year is over. Please don't make decisions now that will cause us to make the next 179 days unbearable to not just to the school, not just to the staff and us as payers and taxpayers in this county, but also to our scholars and our educators. Thank you.
Patty Gillenwater, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Patty Gillenwater, 4040 Ivy Bluff Trail, Winston-Salem, 27106. Greetings, everyone. Right before I got here, I did have a chance to scan the report from the North Carolina Auditor, and I was really happy for all of us that there was no misappropriation of funds. There was just mismanagement of funds. So I think that's good news for us, and we can build on that. So I believe this is the time that we really need to come together as a community. We have so many opportunities facing us that are positive in the Triad and in Winston-Salem. We can benefit from all the jobs and businesses that are coming to the other communities, right around us. But if we continue to have the negative publicity and the lack of support for our public schools, we're not going to get other businesses and we're not going to get families. They're going to go to the other surrounding areas. So I think that it's really important that we look at this. It's a humanity situation. It's also an economic situation. And so I know that, we're all paying much higher property taxes at the end of this year, just a couple months away. I would like to hope that you will find a way to allocate those extra funds to support our school system instead of building a fund balance. Just like what the western part of our state experienced last fall with Helene. This is sort of our Helene in a way. And we can step up and we can be North Carolina strong. We can be Winston-Salem strong. I know that the businesses around town, the business leaders are talking about this, all the advocates, all the nonprofits. You have the whole community focused on how can we help. So let's take this moment. What we need is leadership to pull us all together, keep us focused, and you can start by finding ways to help in your own way because you do hold the checkbook. Just really encourage you to keep this positive and productive and build on what Commissioner McDaniel said on Monday afternoon. You can have the opportunity to be known as the board that saved our school system. And that will probably help you out a lot next fall. So let's remember that, there are a lot of different stakeholders here, and we all need to find a way to find a positive path forward. And we can do it. We just have to decide. Thank you.
Lisa Sykes, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I am Lisa Sykes. I live at 811 West 5th Street, Unit 205, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27101. I have been a registered voter in Forsyth County for 45 years and a taxpayer. I'm also a Reading Warriors tutor at Ashley Academy. Dr. Martin, commissioners, I'm here to speak in support of today's proposals providing additional funding to address the school system requests. While it may seem wise to wait until the full audit can be reviewed in full, the system's outstanding debts and immediate needs are clear, and spending in these requested amounts should be easily trackable. The interim superintendent is leading carefully and expertly, and we need to support requests from the Board of Education under her leadership. Thank you.
Jenny Easter, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Jenny Easter, 5120 Paramount Road, Hofftown, North Carolina. Good evening, or good afternoon, sorry. As you know, I am the president of FCAE, our public school staff union. Today, you are considering two important allocations of funding, the capital outlay and the general obligation bond. Both of these resources could play a critical role in helping our district address its debt. As union president, I do not manage the district's finances, but I do concern myself with the debt and deficits it creates because they directly affect our staff, our students, and the programs their families rely on. The district's financial situation is on them, period. That is not your responsibility. However, the way you handle this vote today and how you move forward is. Our Forsyth Republican delegation has already turned their backs on us. You asked us to go to them. The district did. We've done reach out as well. Representatives that hold the power and influence to help. Their excuse? The reach out was too late. They knew what was going on. They called for the investigation. While I know that you guys, the board, point to your statutory obligations and the ways in the past you have taken on more than your fair share of responsibility, and I respect that, but I need you to understand that this continued rhetoric we've heard from a few of you that implies they made their mess, they need to fix it. And why should taxpayers bear the cost of their mistakes? Directly punishes your constituents and your taxpayers, the people who rely on these schools every day, losing their jobs, and your children with less resources in their classroom. There is nothing left to help fix the district but you. Providing these funds today to help erase debt that has accrued on this district is more than a financial decision. It is a commitment to the people who show up every day for our students, the staff who dedicate their lives to their education, and the families who rely on these programs as public services. This vote is an opportunity to protect our schools, our staff, and our community. I respectfully urge you to vote in the way that reflects that responsibility, not just to balance the sheets, but to the lives behind them. Your decision today will show whether we prioritize the future of our students and the people who serve them. Thank you.
Marcy West, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Marcy West, 331 Carolina Circle, Winston-Salem, 27104, and candidate for County Commissioner in District B. Thank you, Commissioners, today for allowing me to speak. I am here to urge you to respect the time that was well spent with the County Commissioner and the interim superintendent to come up with a reasonable way to allow funds to flow to the school system to help to deal with this debt. I urge you to approve both portions of that. It is imperative that our community works together to get this deficit under control. It is impacting our reputation, it will impact our economy, and it is really important that we don't step back and say, this isn't us. It really is all of us. While this issue was created by the schools, it is directly impacts Forsyth County as our children lose services, as our teachers and staff lose jobs, and future businesses will be looking at this county, and they're going to discount this. We have to step up and take care of them. Potential capital needs in the future can be addressed in the next budget cycle. This will allow the school to begin their debts now. And I'll use a simple example. If you knew that you had a $3,000 credit card debt and you were paying interest on that debt, and you also knew that next year you might have a project for $2,000, would you hold back $2,000 or would you pay that debt now? You'd pay it now so that you don't incur additional costs. It's the same exact thing. So I urge you to go ahead and do that. I also urge the commissioners to take the time. There's a $5,000 debt right now that goes to the county. Please wait for a full year. Just put that aside, readdress that in a year so that the school system doesn't have to worry about that, doesn't have to think about it, okay? The other thing I want to talk about is actually completely different. So it is, I'm going to urge you to make a draft resolution against the gas pipeline that was presented on Monday. The project creates great risks to schools and medical facilities in Forsyth County, and it doesn't provide any benefits to our residents. In fact, the opposite is true. What will happen when that construction happens, the rates are going to go up for the residents to build that, and meanwhile, all the gas is going to go to large businesses. It's not going to be a benefit to us at all. And it was absolutely shocking to see how cavalier the company was when he talked about, well, yes, accidents happen and people die sometimes. I mean, that was not a reassuring thing at all for me. So finally, I want to just express some disappointment with the board. There was no agenda for the briefing. Both the pipeline discussion and the funding of the schools are very consequential. They're important things to the community. Nobody knows that these things happened. They don't have a way to look it up. They were recorded, yes, but you never have a way of knowing it was there. So I would like to urge that you actually put that into an agenda in the future so that people know about it. It's just a tremendous loss of transparency, and it's something that's greatly needed. Thank you.
Kwamakia Shavers, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Kwame Kia Shavers, 3850 Heatherview Lane. The first thing, County Chair, County Commissioners, and County Manager, good afternoon. The first thing I want to say is that I know this is not your problem. You didn't cause it, right? You didn't cause the problem, but this is our county, this is our school, and I believe that we should take care of home first, right? So when you make statements and say that it isn't your problem, then you're basically saying that anything that happens in this county isn't your problem. So then why did we elect you to sit on a board that you're going to consider issues that impact our entire county, not your problem? I've always been a bold person. I want to state a few things before I read what I wrote, because I don't want you to think that I don't know. I am aware that the $46 million deficit will not will not cover the 300 to 350 jobs that are being threatened right now. I do understand that. I also understand that with your fund budget, if you continue to go into it, it lowers your credit score or however they judge you on being able to buy things in the future. I want you to know I understand that, but because I'm bold and because I believe in this community and I believe we should take care of home first, we can't expect anyone else to look after us, any other ancillary community partners, even the state, if we don't take care of home first. So I just wanted to get those housekeeping things out of the way first so you wouldn't think I read this statement without that knowledge of how things work. And today, the Office of the State Auditor initiated the review of the financial standing of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools due to the concerns reported through its tip line. The deficit stems from several issues, which we already know: failure to adjust staffing despite the decline in student population and temporary reliance on the COVID funds. We got that part. But in light of these findings, we all know that there was mismanagement, but no one stole. No one was frauding, right? They just were spending money they didn't have. And I mean, I think.
My name is Lee Childress. I reside at 5703 Beaver Pond Trail, Pofftown. I come before you to ask you to please consider approving the request of the school district to receive funds to help pay down our debt to the state. I'm sure many of you watched or heard about the school board meeting just 2 nights ago, where we learned that additional job cuts are very likely, and likely in the hundreds. While this news is stroking fear among many, and this debt is to help pay off the debt from the last fiscal year. If we don't get this debt paid down, our obligation to the state will multiply because an interest will be accrued. And that will affect this next year's budget. I'm an EC teacher, a special ed teacher. I love my students. I actually have a client I have to see. I asked them 3 o'clock, so I'm only here for a little bit. But I wanted to come speak about this. This round of cuts looks to substantially affect our EC staff. That not only affects my fellow colleagues and possibly our tax base, as if people have to move, that affects our tax base. But it also threatens one of the most vulnerable group of people in our community, our EC students. I love every one of my students. My colleagues love every one of our students. And losing potentially hundreds will make our jobs almost unimaginable. Please consider giving this money to the school district to help pay down this debt so we don't see more losses to our folks. Thank you very much.
Alan Daniel, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Alan Daniel, 100 Fernworth Court in Clemens. Good afternoon, Chair Martin, members of the board, county manager. Your job, I don't need to tell you what your job is, but your job is the fiduciary custodians of all the resources of Forsyth County. I think you all do a pretty good job with that. I'm trusting my memory here because I was busy right before I got here and didn't have time to write it all down. But if I remember correctly, in 2018 or 2020, the county funded the schools at $128 million. This year, you're funding the schools at $180 million. That shows your support for the school system. I hear what everyone is saying about the need to take care of our own. I have a teenager, and my daughter turns 20 today. And they have credit cards, and those credit cards have limits. And if they choose to run those things to the limit and ask me to pay them off, I might pay them off. But I'm going to take the credit card. It's called accountability. The Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education are the fiduciary custodians of all of the financial resources of the school system. When the audit comes out, it is not going to be Mr. Kranz's name. It is not going to be Mrs. McManus's name. It is not going to be Mrs. Moore's name. It is not going to be whomever the CFO is at the time's name that is in the findings. It is going to be the Board of Education. I support the county helping the school system. I support the state legislature supporting the school system. However, when you don't take care of your responsibilities, there are consequences. If there are no consequences, then you repeat your offenses. If I were to give my son $3,000 to pay off his credit card and let him keep the credit card, he's just going to do it again. Would you buy a drink for an alcoholic? Would you give a drug addict a fix? No. You would help them learn. If you give the money unconditionally, if the legislature gives the money unconditionally, it will happen again in Forsyth County and in other counties all over the state. I support it on the condition that the entire Board of Education resign their seats before the money transfers. Thank you.
Tamara McLaughlin, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Tamara McLaughlin. I live at 221 East Sprague Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I have been in Winston-Salem for the last 25 years. It has been a great place to raise kids. I didn't think I would ever want to come back here after I graduated from Wake Forest because there wasn't much happening in Winston-Salem at that time. But in the last 2 decades that I have been here, this place has been transformed. And we have so many bright and positive things happening. The one thing that has not gone in the direction that I would have liked it to go is our public schools. I have had 2 children in public schools. One has graduated and one is starting as a junior this fall. I am a licensed mental health clinician. I work with children 0 to 5, and I have 2 clients starting kindergarten this fall. And our public school, I've been a PTA president. I was the PTA president at Ashley for 2 years. Our Title I schools, our low-income schools, they have not gotten the support that they needed for a long, long time. This is a problem that is a long time in the making, and we've now reached a disaster of epic proportions. I know that the responsibility question is not one we're going to answer. I think the question before us is who does feel the burden of this and who does feel the pain of this? And it's looking to me like the students and the teachers and the staff of our schools, not the people who made the decisions, are the ones who will be left shouldering the responsibility for this. I know the commission by itself cannot solve the problem, nor do I think it's your responsibility to, but I would ask that you do your part, that beyond voting in favor of this today, that you would also use your creativity, your ingenuity, your love for this community to think about how we solve this larger problem of the fact that our schools are just unfunded in the way they need to be, and our teachers are unsupported in the way they need to be. And it's going to take all of us, and but I think it needs your leadership. It needs your leadership at this time more than ever. And so I'd ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Michelle Jordan, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Michelle Jordan, 6032 Stone Bluff Drive, Clemens, North Carolina. Good afternoon. I am here because I am actually not working. I have retired, and I know that I had stated that to you guys back in the spring that that's what I was having to do, but that's what I have done. I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and my position is one of those that, you know, I knew was going to be cut. So I know that I've been hearing everyone's speeches today talking about things, and no, it is not anyone who is sitting here's fault in the sense of that we did anything like wrong. And even what happened when I looked, because I haven't been able to read it like everybody else has, it just came out, it's 39 pages. But the big finding for me and what stood out is that it was spent on student needs. Okay? It was spent on student needs. All right? And we're sitting here and we're talking about cutting EC staff because some firm is saying that there's some bad ratio. Are you kidding me? These EC staff are what they do with what they're given and the caseloads that they have, it's just insane. So I'm asking for a few things. I'm asking for you guys to vote today because I'm positive for all of this because we really need everyone to come together to help. But we also really need to understand this. Every bit of this money that we have, 46 million, we would have. Leandro funded. If vouchers weren't money going out and we weren't having to pay charter money out, we'd have triple the money than what we need. So this is being made by our state legislator that has been underfunding our schools forever. This is not because of anybody did wrong. Our staff was trying to give what our kids need. This is what they need. So please help. Stop pointing fingers. Let's pull together as a community, and we need you guys to help. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that is all of the speakers.
Okay, thank you. Madam County Manager, we are ready to begin the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioner, staff, and guests. The agenda items before you have been briefed and hopefully questions answered. Agenda items 4 through 6 pertains to the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. I'm going to ask Deputy CFO Lee Plunkett to come forward and review these items as we want to make sure all of the board's clear, and then I will reintroduce each item individually for a vote.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. A lot of this will be a refresher of what we presented on July 21st. So just wanted to go back through it and make sure everyone is understanding, as the County Manager said. So the schools have, the first two items are requests from the schools, essentially it's a reallocation of funds and using additional funding in an aid to repaying its outstanding debts from fiscal year 25. So both plans create fund balance in your general fund that can be appropriated to the schools as current expense. The first one is a reallocation of general fund dollars from prior years that is currently sitting in your county's Education Capital Project Ordinance, or the CPO, for the school's capital maintenance program. The second funding plan is paying fiscal year 26 debt service interest with investment earnings on bond proceeds, which in turn creates fund balance by freeing up the property tax revenue that was originally appropriated to pay that debt service interest. And I'll go into a little bit of detail on each of these. So for a little context on the first plan, each year you as a board have adopted a general fund budget that includes $1.735 million that is sent to the capital project ordinance that funds the school's capital maintenance program. These annual transfers of your general fund dollars supplement the $8.5 million in the general obligation 2/3 bonds that we sell every other year that you provide to the schools for their capital maintenance program. The schools are asking to reallocate only some of the unspent general fund dollars that are sitting in your education capital project ordinance. And these bond proceeds that we mentioned, the $8.5 million, will still be there and be used for capital maintenance program. So since these are general fund dollars, there's no restrictions on their use, except obviously for public purpose, unlike the bond proceeds, which have much tighter IRS restrictions. And this is a document or a chart that essentially takes their document and puts it into the way we account for it on our books. And so you can see there's $1.735 million of general fund dollars that are transferred to the CPO every year. You can see there's some has already been reimbursed, about $5.3 million out of the list of these transfers. And about $5 million is remaining in balance, and they're asking for $3.87 million of that $5 million. So how would this actually work? The county would transfer this $3.87 million back to the general fund from the CPO, creating a surplus revenue in the general fund. And then this would essentially create fund balance. And then this fund balance would be appropriated as a transfer to the schools as current expense and not capital outlay. So as you know, we all keep a close eye on anything that can impact fund balance, but this would not impact current year fund balance. For funding plan 2, this is a little bit more complicated, but the end result is the same. So for context on this, the IRS allows debt service interest on outstanding bonds to be paid with investment earnings on those bonds, as long as it fits under certain parameters. The interest that we're going to pay this year for our 2023 general obligation bonds are within those parameters allowed by the IRS. The school's share of this interest is $4.7 million, and the county currently has enough investment earnings that are generated from these same bonds, from the 2023 general obligation bonds, to pay this $4.7 million debt service interest payment. And that is over and above the amount that we have set aside for our arbitrage rebate liability that we talk about quite a bit. So just to put it in the numbers to it, there's about $11.8 million in investment earnings in our education CPO tied to the 2023 general obligation bonds. We have set aside about $6.8 million to pay the IRS the arbitrage rebate liability that we talk about, which leaves about $5 million available for appropriation, and of course 4.7 of that would come from that $5 million. Again, how this plan will work is similar to the way it worked on the first plan, with one additional step. So the county would transfer $4.7 million of our 2023 GO bond investment earnings from our CPO to the general fund. But once in the general fund, we've got to pay the debt service tied to the 2023 GO bonds. So that's exactly so the IRS says you can only use capital funding for capital expenses, and so debt service in this situation is considered a capital expense. For the property tax revenue that was appropriated, that you all appropriated in fiscal year 26 to originally pay that $4.7 million in debt service interest, will be freed up in creating surplus revenue. And that surplus revenue is a fund balance, and then the fund balance is appropriated to the schools as current expense and not capital outlay. And again, just like the first funding option, it is not a negative impact on our current year fund balance, if the option was adopted in full as presented. So again, just to recap the two funding plans, the first one reallocates general fund dollars back to our general fund to be sent to the schools. The second plan would create fund balance by paying debt service interest with bond investment earnings and freeing up those general fund dollars. And the total would be $8.568 million. And it's the total of the two requests the schools have. And then the final request, this was a third one that came. It was the interim superintendent Moore proposed on Monday. In this current fiscal year, the county is to provide school resource officers and public health nursing services to the schools. And the county's appropriation to the schools each year includes enough money to pay the county back for those services. So normally the county would invoice quarterly for both of those services. However, the schools have requested to do away with this inefficiency and just simplify the process while not impacting the provision of the services. So in order to eliminate those inefficiencies, the school board agreed to a reduction of their fiscal year 26 allocation from us in the amount of $4.6 million. And the offsetting revenue that we as a county would normally receive for charging for those services would also be reduced. In doing so, the back and forth of all the invoicing is eliminated and creates a little bit of administrative efficiencies. And it's also important to note that the impact on our net county dollars is zero. So both our expenditures to the schools are going down, but our revenue coming back is also going down. So the net impact on your budget is $0. I know that was a lot, but I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
Questions for Lee?
Thank you. I'll introduce the items.
I might just ask you to reiterate part of this, but, and perhaps related, I think a lot of concern is how the money is going to be spent, which has nothing to do with you. But I do know that we have our interim superintendent is here, Kathy Moore, and our school board chairman is here, Deanna Kaplan, and perhaps that, because I think one of the things in the attachment that was sent to us for this item, it actually talks about, in both cases, both of these first two actions, it would talk about the issue of notifying this board and notifying the county manager whenever a check was written from this for within 24 hours. And that in fact, if it was not spent for the purposes that we have talked about, which includes, and I want to reiterate, includes debt to the Department of Public Instruction in North Carolina, and also to one of the three large vendors that provided substitute teacher contract last year. No?
That is not what the agenda item states. It says that the payment would go to DPI because that is the highest interest at this point. So all of it would go to DPI unless the board chooses to do something differently.
I thought the way I read it is that there were some options that it could go other places, but I just want to be clear what that part was, and clear about that if it doesn't, that essentially the county would actually not advance money to the school district to balance that out. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that we're talking about a fail-safe issue in terms of impacts on the county budget. And it's not, in my view, it's not giving money away. It's not doing that. It's basically dollars that have been budgeted to the school or were a part of the bond issue that would be available for their use. But we would not benefit, if nothing happened, nothing would change either. I mean, just, there's no, making this happen impacts our budget as if nothing happened. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Yeah.
As presented, yes.
And I'll ask, I could invite Kathy Moore, if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to.
You're right. Lee, before Lee, hold on a minute.
Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I interpreted what you said about the 4.6 million, that it would pay down interest on bonds. And then its conversation is that would pay the state, the public instructions, use that to pay some of the money, ever how much it is. And if I understood Ms. Moore from Monday, my interpretation of what she said, and if I'm wrong, you correct me when you come up, that some of the money might be used to pay the public instruction and some of the fund might be used for whatever the most pressing outstanding debts. And if I'm wrong, you correct me. Be fine.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to read the last paragraph of both items 4 and 5. They're identical. And this is what's written. As the manager indicated, you all can obviously change the language when you choose to vote. But this is what the last paragraph for both those items says. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools will use the entire amount of such funding to repay part of its debt to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, with payment occurring within 1 week of receipt of the funds from the county, provided, however, that if there are legal requirements to provide a portion of this county appropriation to other parties, WSFCS may do so. The interim superintendent shall provide the county manager with evidence of such payment to NCDPI and to any other party within 24 hours. If Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools uses such funds in any other manner, the county may offset future payments to WSFCS to recoup the amount of any unauthorized spending.
And just to clarify, the reason that it has in there, if there are legal requirements to provide a portion, is because we know that any amount we give the schools, they have to share with charter schools. So we don't know if they're going to need to utilize a portion of this or if there's somewhere else in their budget where they will pull from. But that's why the caveat is in there that any amount that's allocated to them in this way, they unfortunately have to share.
Any other questions for Lee?
Yes, I do have a question, Chairman. This is relative to Dr. Moore. I'm glad that you're here because I needed to know where the appeal process was. That would be helpful.
Hello again. For the appeal to DPI to waive the 1% interest. So that appeal is going into the State Board of Education, and we have the letter. It'll be going as soon as we figure out where we are here today. And it requests from the board chair, it is a request from the board chair to the State Board of Education to appeal the decision of the state superintendent and deputy state superintendent to impose the 1% interest penalty that takes effect September 20th. And then that will go to a panel of the state board and likely reviewed by the full board at their September meeting early that first week. So.
I will say, Dr. Moore, with all due respect, it troubles me for the slowfulness of the school board at times when we've given some directives to go and ask for some support and help. I don't know what the problem is or the slowfulness is,
Why it's not already there.
That cannot be.
Thank you.
In order for us to be able to support you, right, in the future.
Appreciate it.
So if you can share that,
I
that
will.
would be greatly appreciated.
Any other questions for Interim Superintendent Moore? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order at this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4, which would authorize the transfer of $3.8 million from the capital maintenance accounts, money that is already held by the school system, to use to assist in paying down the debts in accordance with the description that was read by the county attorney and is written in the resolution.
Is there a second?
I will second.
A motion by Commissioner Bessie and a second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any further discussion?
The only question I have, again, I tried to raise it Monday, is the extent to which any of these funds could be earmarked so that we could require where they go. And there's nothing in addition to what Lee has already told us. Is that correct? As far as us having control?
Well, I guess the condition could be placed in this action is incorporating the paragraph that our county attorney read, which basically says it goes to the Department of Public Instruction unless there are legal requirements that it must go somewhere else. And that if that did not happen, then we should take the money back that we actually provided. That's the way I would interpret that.
That's what the budget ordinance amendment currently requires. And so, for instance, as the manager said, I'm not sure whether part of the money needs to go to the charter schools or not. It very well may. So let's say that's 10%. So then 90% could go to DPI and the 10% could be shared with the charter schools if that's required. That would be allowed under what the language currently states. If it's spent on anything else, then the county would have the right to offset future payments to the school system.
That's what I thought I heard. That was the caveat at the end. Thank you.
Other questions?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question, but I will be voting in opposition to this motion because it's state-driven. We're a county. If we begin paying the state problems, then they have no reason to come and help us. They will assume that the county is going to take care of everything, and it is impossible. In every meeting that we've had with the school board, with the interim superintendent, with the chair, we've emphasized to them that we do not have the funds to pay this debt. I agree with Tanya. I am astounded that you all waited till the day the General Assembly was going home to send her a letter to request their help. That has just spoken volumes to me. And I'm sorry as I can be, but I cannot be involved in our tax dollars going to this kind of action. I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed?
No.
Motion carries, if I heard correctly, 5-2.
Agenda item number 5 is an amendment to the Education Capital Projects Ordinance to transfer interest earnings and an amendment to the fiscal year 26 budget ordinance to accept a transfer from the Education Capital Projects Ordinance for interest earnings and an amendment to the fiscal year 26 budget ordinance to appropriate fund balance for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools interest earnings. This item appropriates fund balance generated from the payment of debt service interest with $4.7 million of interest earnings and increases funding for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools to utilize to repay their debt to North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. This item also includes that Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools must submit payment within 1 week of receipt of funds and provide the county manager with evidence within 24 hours of sending payment.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to move that we postpone consideration and action on this item to our second meeting in September. And if there's a second, I'll explain the reason for that.
I will second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel.
All right. Here is our situation. The tragic cutbacks that were announced earlier this week by the superintendent and the Board of Education will not be affected by this request. None of this funding would go to change any of that. We are not under a time action limitation associated with the cutbacks that have been announced. All of those are in response to reduction in revenue from other sources for ongoing operational budgets of the school. Let me say that again. None of this money would go to reverse any of those cuts. Not a dollar. So we have time to consider whether this new funding, the $4.7 million here, would be going to the most urgent school capital use at this time. And I am concerned until we know whether this funding would be needed for example, and this is principally in my mind, construction of the new Ashley Elementary School, which has been promised and promised and promised to the community and delayed and delayed and delayed. I will not be a part of another delay in meeting that promise. That's why I'm suggesting that we not say no to this, but that we postpone action on it until we know what the impacts of not having this $4.7 million will be on our schools.
I guess a question I would have is, what are we going to know by the second commissioner meeting in September that we don't know today?
That is an excellent question, and I can respond.
Okay.
We will know, for one thing, whether the planned meeting between the legislative delegation and school system representatives has taken place and what the results will be. We will be closer to knowing what the final anticipated costs of the Ashley School construction will be, and whether the funding that we have already made available to the schools for that project is sufficient to cover those costs, or whether there is a gap which might be covered by part of this $4.7 million and which would not be available if we act to encumber it in another fashion today.
I guess I am of the opinion from the conversation we had on Monday is that a guaranteed maximum price for Ashley would at best not be available till the end of November. And I guess the other side of that is, as I recall from previous presentations on money available for Ashley and estimated cost by staff basically, and probably architect too, involved in that, it was maybe short by a small number of 2 to 3, 4 million, somewhere in there. And in that case, there's also the ability to look at the scope of the project at the time. There's also the ability to consider other funding. So I don't see that cancels the Ashley Elementary project. I do see that by early payments of these dollars now, in this request to waive interest from the State Board of Education, is a way of saying, in good faith, we're making an effort to reduce this debt so that, if I remember correctly, it was down to 11, assuming the 8.5, you're looking at a $3 million debt, which is a whole lot different than where it started, which was 13, and perhaps more consideration on the State Board's part of a good faith effort to try to basically return the state to its whole position. The issue of the meeting with the legislators, which I have recently spoken both with Representative Lambeth in a fairly long meeting, and also State Senator Dana Call-Jones. The ability to do anything now or to promise anything now is essentially not there. At least that's the impression they left with me. They did say that perhaps when the next legislative session begins in May, the short session of this biennium next May, that there may be a possibility to consider previous types of issues that were brought up, and actually Representative Lambert said that possibility existed. So I don't think there's going to be any satisfaction from the meeting that the Board of Education has with our delegation that would impact this particular issue. So I'm very much in favor of going ahead and doing this today. Other discussion?
Yes, and I agree with Chair Martin, but I would like, I don't mean to have you go back and forth, interim superintendent Moore, but I think it would be a good time maybe for you to, if you have any reply back to Commissioner Bessie, of course, respectfully in regards to the request based on working with our county manager to put this before us, but then to delay it, what would be the effect on the plan that you and the board have had to try to cover this debt?
Thank you, Commissioners, for the questions and the opportunity to speak again. Your concerns and your questions about how we stage this off are appropriate. And I think in some cases, waiting, there are some advantages that could possibly happen from waiting with regards to getting some additional answers. But I think the answers that actually change the situation won't happen between now and September. And part of the reason in terms of waiting to send the letter is to be able to send a reduced amount that we believe that we're going to owe them that might make it more palatable for the State Board of Education to not to waive the 1% interest. So it's going right after this meeting when we know where we're headed. And I do believe the commitment remains strong with the board and the staff. We are moving forward with the Ashley project. We expect to bring those numbers and bring resolution to what those numbers mean in order to complete that project. We know that it's important to the community, and this is important as well. This request is important as well. And I think the analogy that I've used sometimes is there are multiple fires burning. This is the one that's closest to our feet right now and highest. And to the extent that we are able to make an impact on reducing our debt from last year, it impacts our ability as we move forward with the other difficult reductions that we need to make to balance our budget to be in a sound financial position beginning now and into the future. So the sooner the better.
So Dr. Moore, for me, am I hearing that you said that all the money is due at once? They did not put you on a payment plan.
The state does not. They don't do payment plans. They just, every month, I guess, whatever amount we owe, they tack 1% onto it.
All right. Thank you.
Are there other questions and discussion on this motion?
Yes. I think that Acting Superintendent Moore's point that a partial payment is an important part of persuading the DPI that they are acting in good faith is absolutely correct. And that's part of why I had no problem with the $3.8 million. We have already authorized action which will help underscore the point that the system is committed to repaying that debt, and the Commission is doing what we can to assist with that. I would welcome the development and submission for our consideration further assurances from the school board that the Ashley project will not be delayed. And a postponement gives us an opportunity to consider those developments.
So I think that the interim superintendent said that things are moving forward with Ashley, and there is a commitment from the school board to not delay Ashley. I don't want to, with all due respect, hold Ashley hostage. Like, something is not right with that comment, with all due respect, Commissioner Bessie. I think that, I think that right now we are trying to focus on trying to make sure that there aren't the unintended consequences for not acting now. And we keep seeing when we delay this process and not, provide the sense of urgency that we know it demands, then we open or keep the door open for more harm. And so I think that to say, let's not approve this issue because maybe they won't build Ashley on a timely manner, I think that, that's not the appropriate way to, move forward with this. I mean, I think that your concerns, otherwise, I have respect for those, but as it relates to the Ashley item, I do think that the school district and the superintendent has more than once and twice said that Ashley would not be impacted by what's going on with the debt that they have. So I'm still inclined to move forward with the original motion. I know that there is a substitute motion to change the time frame.
Go ahead.
I do respect my colleagues' different conclusions on the matter, but I would point to the phrasing of the assurances we have received thus far from the school system, and that is that they fully intend to move forward with the Ashley construction project, assuming full funding is available to do so at the time. If they wish to remove that caveat from the consideration, I would certainly consider that to be a changed factor that I would take into account, whether or not to go ahead and obligate this funding for a different use.
And Commissioner Bessie, alongside that, I would need that in writing with a letter from the board.
I guess I'm at a little bit of a loss. The board is not in a position to do, until they get together, consider something and vote, and to not be able to, to identify, I think their commitment to the project is there, and they already have X amount of dollars that are set aside. They could remind us that, if, for example, what the gap is in their current estimates and what their dollars are. But I mean, that is kind of like not over till it's over, that part of it. And I don't know that they're in a position to guarantee one way or the other. But so I'm about a little, and plus, they can't do that today. I don't believe the board chairman can speak on behalf of the board today.
That's why we're asking for
that.
That's why we're asking for more time.
But there's a motion and a second. I think we should vote on that.
Yeah, I'll just see if there are any more discussion about this.
Which vote you going to take?
What's that?
Which one are you going to take?
Well, as I understand, we just have one motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Bessie, second by Commissioner McDaniel to basically
continue.
to delay until the second meeting in September, which I looked and I think it is the, I'll tell you again, it is the 25th of September, by the way, is when the second meeting is. That's delaying until then.
So I do have a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner Linville.
Commissioner Bessie, in the continuance, if I go along with the continuance, only thing that means for me is respect to another commissioner just to continue something for their own, or any other information that comes out. Don't mean any more than that. If it's your thought that the school board might use some of this 4.6 to kind of bridge some of the gap for the Ashley, is that what you're talking about? In part?
Yes, sir.
They didn't even
I
know
believe
this
that.
money existed.
And nor did we. We knew that there was the possibility this funding would be available, but we didn't know how much it would be, and we did not know whether there would be the opportunity to comfortably conclude that there was a significant amount available for this kind of use. Now, the uses that we're talking about need to be restricted to school, and I believe school capital-related expenditures. So we're only talking about the opportunity cost of allocating all of this additional $4.7 million funding now to pay down debt. And that's what I'm concerned about. The decision today to allocate all of it to the debt pay down question.
Perhaps I could argue that the opportunity cost is that the state board may consider the request to have a longer grace period on interest or a waiver of partial interest on that is within the state board's authority. I'd say that's an opportunity that paying more shows that there is a seriousness. And by the way, the State Board of Education is capable of reading what we're discussing, and they know what this issue, they know what the 4.6 million is about. If there's I could consider, and I will go ahead and do that, I'll make a substitute motion to your motion that would be to go ahead and, in this case, well, since your motion is actually to delay, that's probably, my substitute motion may be, I'll ask our attorney what he thinks of my substitute motion. The substitute motion that I would make is that what I want to do is that we approve the request today contingent upon the Board of Education providing a statement that they will commit that this project will be the next project that they do. And then that gets at the issue. Nothing's going to bump it, nothing's going to change it. It would be the next project that they do and are committed. They've already got 30-some-odd million or whatever it is available, and that they give us the details on that. And that the actual payment of the money, we would approve it today, and the payment of the money would actually be contingent upon their providing that assurance.
And I'll just state that a motion to postpone would take precedence over a main motion, so that should be disposed of first.
I got you. That's kind of what I was thinking, somewhere in there. All righty. So is there anything else to say?
Well, but Commissioner Bessie could withdraw.
There was no second. And I assume there's no second to that motion.
Oh, to the substitute?
The substitute motion I made,
Thank you.
we're going to vote on the first, we're actually going to vote on the first motion first. And then we could return to that again if it doesn't get postponed. If it gets postponed, there's nothing to vote on.
Well, Commissioner Martin, if you may, there may be an opportunity to withdraw our motion if I hear it again more clearly. So
All right.
just make sure that it's clear.
Let's see if I can be more clear. I would like to make a motion that we approve a $4.6 million transfer that we've been discussing, basically pay off debt service into the general fund to the Board of Education, that we follow the conditions stated in the agenda materials, which actually deal with the limitation must go to the Department of Public Construction except for any of the legal requirements to retire that debt, and contingent upon the Board of Education, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education providing a letter with an assurance that the next capital project that they undertake will in fact be Ashley Elementary. The full school project will be Ashley Elementary, not fixing a boiler or fixing something, but that will be the next project that they do.
So since Dr. Moore is here, we have that commitment from you. I see her shaking her head, yes.
Okay. 2 thumbs up.
All righty. So are you withdrawing your second?
It's not, yes, I will withdraw my second and.
I'll withdraw the motion based on the clarification of your suggested alternative. So I'll withdraw the motion. Yours can become the main motion.
All right.
Yeah, just for clarification, it's 4.7 million. The next item is 4.6.
4.7, yes. 4.7 million. So with that motion, is there a second to my motion?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Woodbury. Any further discussion?
Yes, a question just for my benefit, I guess. Maybe others too, maybe others understand all of it. It seems to me what we're here for today, no matter what any of us, how we think about it, that it is a separate matter than the Ashley School has been talking about. But that in your motion has been brought up, hasn't it?
It is a condition. Well, the original motion was to delay because of information. This says, let's do it today and get and with a requirement that information be provided now as a commitment on the board's education part. So
Okay,
it does mix the two together, but that's the very reason why the delay was being requested.
Well,
that's where the linkage is.
Okay, I'm clear. I'm not trying to get you to change your motion. I just want to be sure of what's going on and how I'm going to vote.
All righty. Any further discussion?
I would just like to say that if, I'm sure this motion's going to pass, as the first one did, and giving this money to the school system, I can assure you that this request for the same amount will come back to us again, and we'll be doing it 2 times.
Okay. I mean, we've talked long enough, but I don't see how it comes back.
Well,
If it's paid.
when it does, I'll
it's-
say, Don, it came back.
That's good. That's kind of like the I told you so. I hear it. Any other further, one more thing.
Just want to confirm with the county attorney again, same clawback or earmarking as before?
Yes and no. I mean, what I heard in the motion was a commitment. Obviously, construction won't start for many months or maybe a year. I don't know when construction would start, but we could, if the board's amenable, we could put the clawback in there about if they don't make this commitment.
But it sounded like you want a letter commitment, correct? And so we would not release the funds until we received a formal letter commitment.
That is correct.
Yes,
Correct.
and all the other clawback clause is in there.
All righty. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
So the motion carries 4-3, if I heard it correctly. All righty.
Agenda item number 6 is an amendment to the fiscal year 26 budget ordinance to reduce the appropriation to the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System for school resource officers and public health nursing services. Per the Board of Education's request, this item reduces the local budget appropriation to Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools by $4,600,010.20 for SROs and school nurses. Forsyth County will still provide these same services. However, we will no longer have to send these funds to the schools for them to just send them back to us to pay for the services.
I'd be happy to make that motion. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Woodbury. Any discussion?
Briefly?
Yes.
I just want to make sure folks understand that this does not reduce the net funding from the county to the operation of our schools. It simply changes how those two activities, the school resource officers and school nurses, are paid for. It's paid for in this case, assuming passage of this resolution, those two purposes will be paid for directly by the county instead of the money going to the county and then back
Going to the
those
school
two-
district.
I'm sorry, going to the school district and then back to those agencies.
Yes, and it is in a sense being removed from the school's appropriation to come to us, and then we pay it. That's the thing. Any further discussion?
I do. I hate to be that one today. I would like for us to, I would like to offer a motion to substitute motion to delay this item because I previously talked about forgiveness or at least working alongside the school system to reduce their portion this year or reducing the allocation for next year's budget or reducing it over a multiple of years.
Well, this matter is
Let me
if
see
I
if
see
I
it
get a
right,
second.
it's-
Let's see if we can get a second to her substitute motion, and then we'll discuss it. Sure. Is there a second?
For the purpose of discussion, I'll provide a second so that we can get clarification.
Sure.
Commissioner Limple.
Okay, I'll go back. The issue about the motion at hand is different, Ms. McDaniel, than yours. It's been explained what it does. We're not going to send the funds to the school system for that. The resource officers is still going to be provided. We're going to pay for it just like we paid for it 2 times. We sent the money and then we paid again. But yes, you're right. We're going to have to consider that matter. That's not done with. We got to consider it, and I'm not pushing on that. Well, you got a big enough problem without that. All that is done, but yes, it has got to be considered somehow.
So are you saying that you want to consider forgiving
No, ma'am.
in the future?
I will support this motion on the floor, but I'm not committing to forgive
Forgiving or
that
reducing or-
$4.6 million that was appropriated to the school system. It was misspent by the system. I'm not calling any individuals or names just misspent by the system. And so, no, I'm not going to offer to do that at this point.
Well, I'd like to make one other point of discussion. This issue of this year's changing the way we're doing it for this year is unrelated to the debt.
I know that, but.
Unrelated to the debt.
I'm giving them.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
well, all I'm getting at is that for this year, everything is already set. The budgets are approved, the money was approved for the school district. Instead of us sending them an invoice and them paying it back, and there's none of that. So it is really more of an accounting correction of sorts.
I get
So the issue of whether to forgive the debt is a separate issue to talk about at some other point, I think, and that it should not deal with this issue. This is just simply dealing with the current fiscal year, not the past fiscal year's debt.
So County Manager, just so that I'm clear, we're not voting today to make these cuts to the school. We're just saying this is how the money is.
That's right. This is not actually, this is really a $0 net effect on the county.
Okay.
This will help us to prevent what happened last year where we actually sent them the dollars and they did not send it back. So instead of us exchanging money, this is actually a good thing for us and them, and it's a $0 net dollar effect. There does need to be a future discussion at a future meeting about what we do on the almost $5 million they owe us for last year, but this is unrelated to that.
Okay, so I want to be able to address that when that does come back up, but thank you.
Just
okay,
for
I
more.
withdraw my motion.
Withdraw
I
the second.
withdraw my motion.
Okay, we have withdraw the motion, withdraw the second.
I'm not
Thank you.
withdrawing. Are you withdrawing? I second the motion then.
But wait a minute, she just withdrew.
didn't
You
withdraw
are
anything.
seconding her withdrawal.
I withdrew my
Am I getting that
motion.
right?
If you've lost your second, I will second your motion to.
But did you withdraw your motion, Commissioner?
I did, yes.
She withdrew her motion. I'm
Everything's
correct.
good now.
Just want to be
We're just gonna
clear.
vote on
Well,
what's before us.
I will move to approve the motion to accept the item that's before us, that the monies, we won't be sending the money to the school system for that.
Yes.
It will stay right here. The service will be provided.
Yeah, we have that motion and a second.
We started this process with, I made that motion and Commissioner Woodbury seconded it.
I just thought I could put
And then
the cart before the horse.
she interjected in the middle a substitute motion to delay.
I thought you was withdrawing yours, so.
No, I was going to, but if you'd rather be the person making the motion than me,
No,
I would be happy to withdraw mine.
Call for the motion. I got some more information I'm asking for.
All righty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
And I shocked the whole audience by voting for yes.
Just for information, this item was sent by the school board to us. But the idea and thought, I believe, originated with our county manager, which was a good one, and I don't know why somebody hadn't thought of it a long time ago.
Well, it was in very close collaboration with the interim superintendent.
Thank you.
And I got a couple more questions while we're on school, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead.
I hate him cutting in on your time, but I do that very seldom.
Go right ahead.
Question for Ms. Moore. Would you come forward, please? This be easy one for you to answer. I know you've been in the business and you've been around a long time, and I'd say you know as much as anybody about how schools operate. Tell me how many people within the school system now has authority to okay or direct expenditures to go out?
Any expenditure, or are you talking specifically about expenditures that exceed the budget?
Well, any of them, but any that expends, it goes past the budget is where we are now. I mean,
Right,
in the future,
So there
going
are
forward.
There are a number of budget managers in the district. All schools have budget managers, central services departments have budget managers that have a budget, and then they can spend on that budget and approve expenditures. If what you're speaking of is what has gotten us here, at least partially, which is overspending beyond the budget that's available, there are only really two individuals that can approve an expenditure that is not budgeted for, the kind of people that say, make it happen kind of thing. That would be the superintendent or the CFO.
Okay.
And then it would still be approved by the board later, would it not?
It depends on the size of the expenditure, it would go to the board.
Okay, the only other thing that I would say that has come to my mind in all of this, and this to the school board, it's not bad, not to y'all. The possibility, I believe, existed in the past year that budget matters that y'all voted on, it's good possibility that you were not given, that's last fiscal year, you were not given the best information that you needed to make decisions. So thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman.
I did want one final point to add to your initial question. So we have removed the ability to expend 1 cent beyond what's budgeted. There is no option for anyone to override that at this point, and that will remain in place.
So that goes along, I suppose, with procedures you've been changing.
Yeah, correct.
So, Dr. Moore, sorry, the elephant in the room, right? With regards to the responsibilities of the superintendent and the CFO, how can you confidently tell us today that those processes will not happen again?
So,
with your current board and
thank you.
yourself and the CFO.
We have transitioned to a new ERP system. That ERP system it requires a couple of things that we have not done well in the past, which includes every division and department loading the full budget that is available to them, putting in anticipated line item expenditures for every area within their budget that they plan to spend. And then when they go to spend against that line item, you cannot exceed the amount that has been budgeted unless you transfer from within existing funds. Like if I budget for an instructional resource in math and then another one in science, and they're each $100,000, and the math one comes in at $110,000, I can't spend it unless I move from somewhere else. And I might choose to move from science and reduce that one by $10,000 and leave that at $90 so that I can have $110 for math. But in both cases, you cannot exceed the $200,000 that is already in the budget and accounted for both of them. Those controls that are now in place will keep from anyone expending more than what is in their budget. And because they are all divisions and departments are required to line item budget what's in their budget, there are just more controls in place.
And when you move those line items, what does the school board see relative to that budget?
The school board sees the expenditure. The controls that ensure that it was in the budget exist in the ERP system.
So that would be on your agenda for full transparency.
Expenditures that exceed a certain amount are on the board agenda for approval.
And that amount is?
Is it 100 or 90,000?
190.
It's either 100 or 90 or 90. I'm not sure which.
Thank you, that was helpful.
And it's always possible that the term of an interim superintendent could be extended, is it not?
There are limits. Okay.
All righty. We're ready to move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is a resolution designating the Piedmont Triad Regional Council as the lead area agency on aging for Forsyth County for state fiscal years 2026 and 27, and a resolution authorizing submission of the fiscal year 25-26 Home and Community Care Block Grant County Funding Plan for older adults and authorizing execution of necessary documents to submit the plan for state approval. This agenda item authorizes Piedmont Triad Regional Council to continue planning and coordinating the development of the county funding plan for local service agencies for the elderly for state fiscal years 26 and 27, and it also authorizes submission of the 26 funding plan and provides funding to Forsyth County Social Services, Shepherd Center of Winston-Salem, Shepherd Center of Kernersville, Senior Financial Care, Senior Services, Support Systems of Forsyth County, and TransAid.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Bessie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 8 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and Guilford County for the Improving Community Outcomes for Maternal and Child Health Program, and an amendment to the fiscal year 26 budget ordinance to appropriate funds from Guilford County. Payments to Forsyth County under this contract are not to exceed $201,808. A budget ordinance amendment of $37,814 is required because the amount available in the grant was higher than projected during the budget process, and staff did send a follow-up memo with additional details to the board.
Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Commissioner Wilson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 9 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and Davidson County on behalf of their respective health departments for Forsyth County to provide laboratory testing services to Davidson County in an amount not to exceed $16,000.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 10 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with the Bradley Group LLC to provide temporary employment services for grant-funded programs at the Forsyth County Department of Public Health. This would provide temporary staffing to grant-funded programs including Minority Diabetes Prevention Program and the WIC program at an amount not to exceed $67,352.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Your second. Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 11 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of influenza vaccines from Sanofi Pasteur, Inc., using the state of North Carolina contract pricing. This would allow us to purchase influenza vaccine in an amount not to exceed $135,983.22.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bessie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Proprio LS LLC for telephonic, written, and virtual interpretation services. This agreement is for Health and Human Services Departments and Human Resources in an amount not to exceed $71,050.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 13 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the revenue agreement with Wake Forest University Health Sciences for the provision of food and nutrition program outreach services. This will provide 2 full-time eligibility caseworkers to assist customers with SNAP applications from January 1st, 25 through June 30th, 2027, in a total not to exceed amount of $159,944.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 14 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with the state of North Carolina on behalf of its Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for forest services. The total cost of the agreement is $294,370, with the county share being $117,748.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Linville. Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 15 is a resolution authorizing execution of a second amendment to the agreement with Walter Robbs Architects, a Michael Graves company, for the Smith Reynolds Airport Terminal renovation project in an amount of $15,000 for additional construction administration and design services associated with the extended construction schedule, FAA changes, and owner requested changes.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 16 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement with Ursoy Brake Appleyard Architects, PA, for the 4001 North Liberty Street Improvement Project in an amount of $163,538. $132,265.50 of that amount is for additional services related to unforeseen structural conditions, and $31,272.50 of that amount is for additional services related to multiple submittal reviews by Bar Construction and their subcontractors. This portion will be recouped from Bar Construction as part of their destructive change order.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 17 is a resolution authorizing execution of a contract to provide business personal property auditing and audit appeal defense services. This is a 3-year contract with Evans and Associates Consulting Group, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $600,000.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Linville. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioners Bessie and Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 18 is a resolution awarding and authorizing execution of a contract with AA Security Services, Inc. for traffic control services for the Festival of Lights show at Tanglewood Park. This is a 3-year contract with AA Security Services in a total amount not to exceed $178,063.23.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Second? Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 19 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of EZIO intraosseous vascular access devices from Teleflex LLC by Forsyth County Emergency Medical Services. This is for bone needles to provide time-sensitive emergency life-saving procedures in an amount not to exceed $68,835.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bessie, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 20 is a resolution authorizing the grant and execution of a utility easement to Duke Energy Carolinas LLC to construct and access utility infrastructure across a portion of Forsyth County-owned real property located at 725 Highland Avenue. This will provide service to our new electric vehicle charging stations for county-owned vehicles.
We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda items 21 through 23 are our reports. 21 is the June contribution-based benefit cap report. 22 is the June human resources report. And 23 is the July Partners Health Management update.
Motion to accept reports.
So moved.
Motion approved by Commissioners Bessie and Linville. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 24 is an added item following your closed session last month. It's a resolution adjusting the compensation of the county manager.
You happy to make that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioners Bessie and McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
We have one closed session motion, Mr. Chair.
Please read. Oh, one comment?
Yes, just a comment. Before we go to that motion, I just want to note, we've heard from a number of people concerned about the elimination of the contract for traffic control officers at schools. I know that's a big ticket item. That's a $400,000 saving that the superintendent, with the approval of the school board, has made because basically they don't have the room in the budget for this and ongoing years to pay that use. I did have an opportunity to speak with her about that this morning. Thank you again. And ask whether a list of the schools that are priority locations for that kind of services could be shared with us to pass on to the sheriff's department and the city for the police department for possible consideration of where personnel assignments might be adjustable within the resources they have to address those traffic control duties at critical areas. And so thank you for that.
I need to ask the board to consider a motion to go into closed session to discuss a matter relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations pursuant to the provisions of North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A4. And since there's no other business to come before the board at this meeting, following the closed session, the meeting will be adjourned.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right.